Okay, so today is Wednesday, March 14th, and this is our first Wednesday night Zoom call. So thanks to the people, Tim and Annette, who were able to join us live, and thank you guys if you're watching the recording. So my name is Yota Stoffaker, and I'm a director in Eastern Washington. My upline is Mandy O'Halloran. So Tim, would you like to introduce yourself really quick?
Sure. My name's Tim Wiltshire, and I'm a rep in Reno, Nevada, and Jacqueline Kennedy is my upline.
And your daughter. I like to throw that in.
I'm Annette Anderson in Spokane, Washington, and Yota is my upline.
Yay! So thanks again for being here, you guys. I'm super excited about today's topic because I feel like it's really, really useful. So I wanted to quickly just go over our monthly target reminders. We try to do that at the beginning of every Zoom call. So just keep in mind, like our 350 club, if you have $350 in personal volume by the 10th of the month, you qualify for $15 in business bucks. And then if you do that again by the 25th of the month, you get another $10 in business bucks. So you have the ability to earn $25 in business bucks every month if you hit those targets, and that can be used to buy catalogs, samples, party packs, like any of that good stuff that you need to operate your business. So that doesn't have to come out of your commission, which is so amazing. The next target that you want to keep in mind is if you hit $1,000 in sales, that's your first promotion in the company, and you are promoted to senior representative. With $1,000 in sales, you earn 29% commission on your personal sales, which is amazing. And then the next bump from there is what we call aspiring team leader. So when you hit $2,000 in team volume with one representative on your team, you actually bump up to 32% commission. And how this works is that person on your team actually doesn't have to be doing anything at all. They just have to be an active representative. But they can do up to 1,000 of that 2,000 in volume. So at least 1,000 has to be your personal volume, and then you have to have another $1,000 in volume that comes either from that rep on your team or from your own personal sales. And then you get that 32% commission. So that's pretty awesome commission just on your sales as before you're even promoting to team leader. And then of course the really big bump up in pay raise is promoting to team leader. And what that means is you plus at least two people on your team have a combined team volume of $3,500, and each of you are doing a minimum of $350 in sales, which is considered a bonus qualified representative. So at that point, you make 40% commission on all of your personal sales. You make 12% commission on the people that you personally sponsor into the business, and 7% on everybody else on your personal team, which is super, super amazing. And, you know, we're paid on the retail, or with the shakes, we have a commissionable volume, but the rest of our products, we are paid on the full retail, which is amazing. That's really generous compared to most other compensation plans. So that's kind of our monthly target reminders. I also I'm going to do a little plug right now and then again at the end, but if you are not a part of our March Madness Fun Challenge page, please join. You can comment on this post. You can text me or Jacqueline. You can post on our team pages, whatever you want to do. There is a link somewhere on there, but if you can't find it to click on, we are happy to add you. And we're having lots of fun. We're doing drawings, lots of challenges, and really lots and lots of motivation for just propelling your business forward. So we would love to have all of you be a part of that. And also just wanted to let you know that Jacqueline led the call yesterday. And so she had, wanted to do some family time tonight. And that's so great about our business, that we work together and we can all have that flexibility to put our families first. So she's taken tonight to be with her family. And I had some family stuff going on yesterday. So we kind of tag team this. So I'm going to be leading this call by myself. We miss her, but I'm glad that she can have that time with her family. So the context for today's call is time blocking and how to have an effective power hour. So I like one of the quotes from Kitty Burrows. She's kind of a partner. She's with Southwestern Consulting and kind of a partner with Wild Tree now. And she said this quote that it says, "Plan your work and work your plan." And I love that. I just feel like it's super simple, but it is so important. And I feel like we sometimes do make a plan and fail to stick to it, or we fail to make a plan and wonder where all the hours in the day went, you know. So by planning your work and then working your plan and really sticking to it, you're going to see huge results in your business. So we're going to start with time blocking. That is where this all begins. So I'm going to share a screen really quick here. It's always fix me. Oh, and it says that I'm Jacqueline Kennedy, by the way, because I'm logged into her thing. So if people are wondering, you said you're Yota, but your name says Jacqueline. That's how come. Okay, so this is an awesome document. You can find it on Jacqueline's team page and on my team page, so you can easily just download and print it off. And it's just a weekly time blocking guide. This was shared by Kitty Burrows at Rise when we were at the leadership conference. And what I love about this is that it's broken up into 3 parts of the day rather than specific hours. So for me, with time blocking, life seems to still happen, especially if you have little ones, you know, like kids that are still in school. They could get sick or hurt or something's going on. And if you're time blocking down to like the hour or the 30 minutes, sometimes I just feel like the time blocking falls apart. You know, if you don't get to the things that you designated, you almost feel like you want to throw your time blocking in the garbage. Like, oh, this just isn't working for me. You know, my life's too crazy. Things come up. So by blocking it out by like 3 different sections of the day, I feel like it gives you a lot more grace for life to happen, and you can still make time for this. That's not to say that I mean, obviously you need to have that commitment level of like, this is when I'm blocking time out for this. Like if an emergency comes up, something I can't avoid, obviously I have to take care of that. But really try to be committed to your time blocking. And by blocking it for the 3 different times a day, I feel like it's easier to stick to. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to fill in everything you cannot or will not change in your life. So if you do have a job, obviously your work schedule needs to go on this calendar first. You know, that's a non-negotiable. If you go to church on Sundays as a family and that's a priority for you, then that block, you know, maybe that Sunday morning square is already going to be filled up with church. If your kids have sports and you know they have games every Saturday, that's why we do what we do, so we don't miss those things. So make sure to block that time off for those kids' activities, whatever you have going on. And then look at what squares are left, and you're going to want to block out time to work your Wild Tree business. And specifically what we're talking about today is really dedicating some time to effective power hours. So what's super cool about this, we're talking about a power hour, and yet you might be blocking off like a whole chunk in the morning, afternoon, or evening, but really all you're using in that block of time is just you know, your power hour, that you can accomplish more than you could ever imagine if you have an uninterrupted, pre-planned power hour. So once you get, you know, like I said, your non-negotiables filled in, schedule your power hours in advance and then stick to them. So at the bottom of this, you can see that number 1, if you are a part-time rep, you're wanting kind of that, you know, they categorize as like spice up your life, make a difference, or build a legacy in the business. If you're kind of in that first portion that's like, I just want to spice up my life. Maybe I want to have extra money for vacations. Maybe I want to have extra money to finish the basement or pay off some debt or whatever. But this is kind of like extra stuff. Then you're going to want to choose 5 blocks of time for your part-time work. If this is like your full-time job or you want it to be your full-time job, really try hard to block off 10 blocks of time. And this, obviously, you'll have your power hour, and then you can also use some of that time if you have a morning chunk. Like, let's say maybe you're planning out your schedule for the week, and that's in the morning on Monday, you know, so you're using some of that morning block to plan your day, fill out this calendar, and then you're going to also use some of that morning for your power hour. Maybe you even have to like run to Office Depot to pick up, you know, copies for the new month's make fresh bundles, or just some miscellaneous stuff. But you've blocked that into that chunk of time in the morning, and you're not letting anything interrupt you, so that way in the afternoon and evening, you have time for your family. You don't have to feel like guilty or stressed because you should be doing some wild tree work and you're not really paying attention to the people you're with, you actually get to be present with the people that you're spending time with, because you already know that you set that time aside, you used your time wisely, and then you moved on to something else. So let's see here. Okay. During the power hour, here is the recommended activities that you should be doing during your power hour. Spend 15 minutes on team building. So that is like making calls or contacts for people specifically about joining your team, you know, the business opportunity, okay? And then the second 15 minutes would be spent on host coaching. You might be thinking, you could be one of those people who don't necessarily have a lot of parties on their calendar right now. So you might not have 15 minutes of host coaching that you have to do. So don't take 15 minutes off. If you don't have 15 minutes of host coaching, then you should add an extra 15 minutes of trying to get more bookings on your calendar. So the next category is spending 15 minutes on booking calls or contacts. And like I said, if you don't have the bookings on your calendar, use that host coaching time for an additional 15 minutes. So essentially you could be spending 30 minutes of your power hour trying to get more bookings on your calendar. And then you're going to do 15 minutes of client follow-up. And that's really a lot of things. Like maybe you've reached out to people about the shakes. So then you're reaching out again. Hey, just wondered if you got my email, or wondered if you got my text message, and if you had any questions, or if you think you might be interested, you know, that kind of thing. Also, the client follow-up is just simply like, hey, I'm just checking in, Sally. It was great meeting you at Sarah's workshop last week or 2 weeks ago. Just checking in to see how you're liking your meals and if you have any questions. And we talked about that a couple weeks ago on the Zoom calls about how important it is to just do those like sincere customer service reach outs, and how those customers become very loyal to you because you're always servicing them. And then I see that Jacqueline actually added this, which is so great. So secondary activities, VIP page. So you're doing some maintenance for your VIP page. Schedule posts and respond to comments. If you're techier than I am, which Jacqueline's going to teach me how to do this, but you could actually schedule posts in your group in advance. So you could literally schedule your posts for the next week or the next month at one sitting, which really, if you were focused, probably wouldn't take that much more than 15 minutes. Or maybe you do 15 minutes a couple different times that week, you know, but you could certainly do 1 week of pre-scheduled posts in 15 minutes, no problem. So you could just plan that, you know, maybe every Monday you're going to pre-schedule your posts for that upcoming week. And that's just going to be part of your time blocking. And then I kind of mentioned earlier, but the shake and app promotion, that would be another 15-minute block that you could fill in there. And then self-improvement and reading could be another 15 minutes. I almost feel like, you know, if you're going to call it a power hour, maybe we want to call it like a power hour and a half if you really want to put all of these activities into there. Because for me, I feel like that self-improvement and reading could almost be like, you're going to schedule that, but like you're going to maybe do that every morning with your coffee, you know, or something like that. Like you're just going to have that time. I just feel like it's so important to get your mindset right in the morning and spend a little bit of time on that self-improvement with really like these, you know, so many great personal growth books. And side note, if you're reading Your Best Year Ever, it's amazing. And if you're not reading it, it's amazing and you guys should get it. It's like $15 on Amazon. I'm loving that book. It's just amazing for life in general, lots and lots of life skills. So anyways, this gives you some ideas on how you can break up your power hours. And maybe you focus your first power hour on the priority activities. And then maybe you do your next power hour implementing some of those other things, or plug those in within that hour, whatever works for you. But honestly, the most important thing is to have an uninterrupted pre-planned hour. You can't use your power hour, cannot be your planning time. That needs to be done in advance. And that's how it's very, very effective. Okay. Let's see here. So now I'm going to show you guys the 5 pillars of success. It's actually kind of an older document. It says pillars of successful leaders. But I had a call with Sonara Brown. I talked to her on the phone, I think yesterday or the day before, about the pillars, and a lot of you have heard about the CSFs, you know, and so here we are kind of going back and forth, like, what are we doing? And really at the end of the day, the most important thing is you're doing the right activities and you're tracking them. Because if you're not tracking them, it's really, really hard to be able to coach you and help you move your business forward. Because the controllable activities are really all we have control over, okay? And then the statistics kick in. If you have 10 meaningful conversations with someone or with anyone, with different people about the business, at least one of those people should join your team. You know what I mean? So when you're doing, it's like statistically, it's like do the actions and worry about the results later. So I love Rory Vaden's quote from the book, Take the Stairs. Get relentless about focusing on your work habits, not the results. So if you are doing the right action steps and you have the right business habits every single day, the results will follow. If you're doing all the actions and you're calling your people and you're doing all this stuff and you feel like, gosh, I might still not be getting the results I'm thinking I should get, then we can have conversations with you about the way that you're communicating with the people you're reaching out to. Maybe that's the issue, but if we're not tracking these things, I mean, really all we know to say is like, just contact more people, but that's not really concrete and helpful for you. So what Sonara said is the pillars are really what you should be doing in your business if you're really serious about moving your business forward, okay? So you might be watching this call or listening to this call and thinking, I have zero desire to do 8 parties a month. I work full time. I have 2 little kids. I love Wild Tree, but it is an extra supplemental thing. Fine. Then just change what your goal is on these pillars to what works for you. So if you only if your goal is to have 2 parties a month, that's okay. Then have a goal to fill in those 2 houses on your sheet, and then maybe you're looking at contacting 40 people or being in front of 20 to 30 people a month instead of 80 people. You know what I mean? And then maybe you're looking at having like 3 to 5 meaningful conversations instead of 10, because you would like to build a team, but you're not necessarily like driven to promote to team leader in the next 6 months or something like that. So just use this as a guide. Mostly just use this to track your activity. And if you follow what we had on that other sheet, I'll go back to this time blocking for a second. If you're choosing the 5 blocks of time for part-time and you're intentional about that time and you're really spending it on income producing activities, then, whatever you're filling in on this pillar is matching what your goals, your personal goals are for the business. So it's, Wild Tree is not a one size fits all company, but we try to have different tools and trackers and stuff that kind of work for everyone. So, so just fill in what your goals are, what the action steps are for you, and then we'll help you build on that. And that'll give us a place to start so we can help coach you to get where you want to get in your business. So the first pillar is 8 tasting parties or freezer meal workshops per month. Now it's really cool. I mean, you can have a shake tasting party. You can do, Jacqueline just did like a lunch and learn at like an office building. How amazing is that? I mean, you just pop in. She was there for like an hour and a half total. Super awesome. Like there's so many different ways that we can do Wild Tree parties. It does not mean that you have to do a traditional, Wild Tree tasting party or freezer meal workshop at someone's house. There's a lot of different ways that this can work into your business and into your life. Being in front of 80 people per month is going to give you enough faces that you're in front of to basically continue to have those 8 bookings per month and recruit 2 to 3 people per month. So again, if your goal is to promote to team leader, these are the things you're going to want to be doing. If you're more part-time, just scale it down, maybe cut everything in half. Totally fine. 10 meaningful business opportunity conversations. Again, if you have those 10 meaningful conversations, you'll probably get, anywhere from 1 to 3 new recruits in your business. If you're not sure what a meaningful conversation is, reach out to us. Jacqueline and I have both had extensive training on how to have a meaningful conversation and the importance of asking a lot of questions and doing a lot of listening and asking intentional questions, that lead you to the answers that you're needing so that you can offer the person really what serves them best. And then nothing comes across as pushy because it's so genuine and heartfelt and really fits them. Obviously 2 to 3 new team members per month is coming from those from those meaningful conversations. And ultimately you're meeting those people, when you're in front of those 80 faces. So my recruiting is always the strongest when I'm having the most parties and the parties have the best attendance. That's just the name of the game. And on top of that, you're going to be doing follow-up calls. So let's pop back over to this time blocking. So client follow-up here, this 15 minutes, that might be some customer service, but that also very, very importantly is following up with those leads from the parties that you just did, yesterday, the day before, maybe the week before, but as soon as possible. Like if you have someone who's interested in the business, you should be setting an appointment to follow up with them at the party and following up with them, hopefully within 24 hours, 48 hours at the most. So if you set that appointment in advance, you don't need to worry about getting a hold of them because they're already expecting that phone call from you. So that's a really important part of that. And okay, so then we've got the 5 live connections a day, 5 days a week. So for some people, if you work full time, this can sound like, holy crying out loud. I get home from work, we do dinner, I'm getting my 2 little ones in bed, and then I probably have, maybe want to spend a little time with my husband or wife, and then at what point can I reach out to people when it's still early enough in the day to reach out to people? So that's fine. If you work full time, take those 5 connections. So that's 25 connections a week, right? Just divide those up over your weekend, do 13 one day, 12 the other day on the 2 weekend days. I can promise you're probably going to reach more people on the weekend anyways than if you try during the weekdays. But another idea, if you work full time, is again, by being super organized in advance, bring your contacts with you to work. And if you have a lunch break, use that lunch break to make contacts for your business. I mean, imagine if you could at least pound out like 12 to 13 of those contacts during your lunch break in the week, so that you're only left with 12 to 13 on the weekend, and you're not using up your family time in the evenings to try to stress out about getting those calls done. So really be creative about that. The live connections are really important because you're actually having a conversation with someone, or at least having them respond to you if you reach out to them. So your connection could be, hey, da-da-da-da-da about the shake, and then they reply, oh, that's interesting, tell me more, and then you maybe send them, the ingredient labels on the email or something. That's a connection. Like they actually reciprocated, so that counts as a connection. And you might have to reach out to, 10 or 12 people before you get one connection, but it doesn't take very much time to copy and paste a text, personalize it with their name, send it off to the next person. Again, it's just being super organized in advance to make all of this happen. So anyways, those are the 5 pillars. Like I said, if you guys can just start tracking, we're going to help you and coach you from there. And what we would like you to do is print, actually, if you're participating in March Madness, you may have already printed this document, but we would like you to print the time blocking guide. I'll go back to that one. And really commit to making a plan and your plan to work, and then working your plan. And also print the 5 pillars. And if you could go back to the beginning of March to the best of your knowledge and fill in all of those spots from the beginning of March, because I know we're already halfway through the month. It's like flying by. But then you can kind of see where you're at, see what you've done in your business so far, and then say like, gosh, I'm going to commit to really doing more than that for the rest of the month. I want this tracker to look better than that by the time we close out the month. But just get into the habit of, coloring in that dot, crossing it off, putting a check mark on it, whatever you want to do. For me, a tracker feels like I'm crossing something off the list. And when I color in a smiley face, I feel like I crossed something off my list. When we used to coach using the goal card where you had to put the tally marks for everything, mentally, that just seemed like so much more work and almost like so much more overwhelming, where this seems kind of fun. Like I'm excited to like color in another circle, and kind of keep track that way. So it's like crossing another person off your list, crossing another, you're filling in the house. Sweet. Now I only have 7 more bookings to get. Keep in mind with workshops and stuff too, you're going to have some orders coming in in March for April workshops, whatever. So what? Just write it on there. Write $500 PV. Sorry, it gives me a little time warning. $500 PV for my April 12th freezer meal workshop. Something like that on there. So you're kind of tracking your sales, whatever. Whatever works for you. Don't overthink it and just start trying to use it. You might decide like, there's a different system that works better for me. I want to use an Excel spreadsheet. I like just having a piece of paper, whatever. But if you start tracking, we will be able to help coach you better. So that's kind of the moral to that. Okay, so another quote I posted on our team page this week, but if you are persistent, you will get it. If you are consistent, you will keep it. So it's really easy to be working towards a goal, putting everything out there, reach your goal, and then breathe, right? Because we're all kind of after all that. But you need to really come up with a plan that works for your life so that you can consistently do it every single month. And then when those kind of slower months come, it doesn't matter, because you just have this cycle that's just going. You just have that momentum built, and it just kind of all keeps on happening. So you're going to find that you're probably going to reach out to a lot of people in the beginning when you're trying to make your live connections or doing your calls, or whatever you want to call it. And probably not necessarily getting a lot of live connections or reaches in the beginning. But just know that as you continue to do this on a regular basis, pretty soon it's just this never-ending cycle where you're getting responses from people on a regular basis. So I noticed I really tracked this a few months ago, and I think some of you probably did too. And it was like, gosh, I'm reaching out to all these people. I'm not hearing back. And then all of a sudden it was like Sunday afternoon or evening, and I'm just like booking parties, like people throughout the week finally were getting back to me. I did reminders and stuff, but I realized, okay, a lot of people need 1 or 2 reminders. They get back to you. And then it started to continue to where it's like, wow, my calendar was full in no time. But again, it's being consistent and keeping on, keep it on. So just do the work. Okay. So Tim was on the call with Jacqueline on Tuesday. Do you have anything to add that Jacqueline might have said that I left out, Tim?
Well, one thing I picked up from you that I didn't get from Jacqueline was, sorry, a dog has decided to bark, was that to block out a whole block for Wild Tree, I was like dividing the blocks.
Oh, yeah.
And so that I'm going to change. But the other thing she mentioned was in the pillars, she was talking about that not only do tastings but events that you do, like if you're doing the lunch and learn, or if you're doing other things like that. Sorry, I got to get that dog away. But you pretty much said everything. The one thing I noticed on this is this whole sheet is set up for a month, except for the last column is a week. Right?
Well, the last column is 5 calls a week, 5 days a week. So it goes, you start at the top left. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Oh, you're right. Because that's 1 day, 2 days.
Yeah, it's 25 calls a week, right?
Oh, you're totally right. Huh.
And not that makes a difference, but I was like looking at it going, what does that mean? And I'm not sure. I think Jacqueline caught it, but I just caught it again when I was looking at it. So
that needs to be changed. That's really important. So the 80 faces, obviously if you can fit 80 faces in a column, I'll tell Sonara, and then I think she made this sheet years ago for something, and we just kind of came back to it because we all agree color and trackers are super helpful.
Right.
But if,
so that's that.
Yeah. Like what would it be?
Well, it would, then it would be 100, basically 100 phone calls a month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it would have to look similar to the other one, but
yeah,
whatever.
That's super important. Thank you for pointing that out, because you wouldn't want people to think like, sweet, I'm done with my calls for the month. And you're like, no, actually you're only done for 1 week. You have 3 more.
Right. And it's definitely, that's the deal, is the live connections. And I still do, I get in my head, critical success factors work for me. So I get the relationship. The bottom line is this: you have to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And then you have to book events, whether they're tastings or lunch and learns or whatever so that you can get in front of the 80 people.
Exactly.
I still have to figure out how to have a meaningful conversation. I haven't had that yet. I am very unsuccessful at that. But
that's a great topic for next week. If you guys, you know what, if that's something that you want to work on, I think having a meaningful conversation would be definitely Zoom call worthy. So I'm going to jot that down and talk to Jacqueline about that. And unless she has a better idea, I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be absolutely perfect. And also, like, I'd be happy to post some of the text messages that I've been sending to people that have given me some good feedback on good results, actually, on getting more 30-day auto ships on the shakes. So I'll post that on my page and on Jacqueline's just for what it's worth. If you want to copy, it's super simple. I try to keep my text messages as clear as possible so people actually read them. Awesome. So yeah, we need to get live conversations needs to equals 1 week right now in the pillars. Okay. And then the other thing, Tim, I wanted to mention is as of now, CSFs aren't going anywhere. However, WildTree is saying that actually Sonara, maybe more than WildTree as a whole, is just saying that sometimes the CSFs with so many different categories can be kind of overwhelming for a brand new rep. So this
Agreed.
so simplifying it into 5 categories is really, I mean, ultimately you're almost doing all of the CSFs anyways. It just looks a little less overwhelming when it's on a pretty fun color and sheet and there's not as many categories. People don't know what a one-on-one actually means. You know, some of those types of things when they're getting started, what classifies as a one or qualifies as a one-on-one, blah, blah, blah. So this just sort of makes it a little bit more simplified for a newer rep. And again, I mean, some of our new reps don't want to do 8 parties a month. That's okay. But like Jacqueline said, you know, a party could be an event. It could be a lunchtime thing. It could be you get your neighbors and your girlfriends over and guy friends. Sorry, I have to get more and more used to this. I'm trying, Tim. I'm saying wife and husband now when I'm talking, but anyways, it could just be getting a group of people over to your house to come and try the shakes and, you know, and taste a couple of things. Like a tasting or freezer meal workshop can be classified as different things, but you know, at the end of the day, you know the volume that you have to have for the goal that you have in mind for your personal business. And so, you know, having 2 friends over 8 times a month probably isn't going to get you the volume and the recruits that you need because you're not in front of 80 faces, you know what I mean, in order to promote to team leader. So this is a stepping stone. If you are working to promote to team leader, these are the action steps that have to take place. Like there's no 2 ways about it. I mean, you can improvise what a tasting and freezer meal workshop is, but ultimately you really need to be trying your best to be in front of 80 faces, you know. And a little side note too, oh shoot, we're about out of time, dang it. But a little quick side note, tasting parties oftentimes generate more new faces than freezer meal workshops because a lot of people are repeat customers for the freezer meal workshops. So striving to be in front of as many, you know, as close to 80 new faces a month will really make a big difference too. So thanks for your input, Tim. And I would have asked for questions, but we're running out of time. So the last thing I just want to remind you guys, if you're not part of our March Madness Challenge, please reach out to Jacqueline or I, and we will add you to that page. It's lots of fun. We have half the month left, and there's lots more fun in store for the rest of the month. So thanks again for being here, you guys. And I'm just going to hop off before it cuts us off at the end. So have a good rest of your Wednesday. Bye.